What is going on, Crisis Actors? It is episode 1017 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I am here after all of the tech issues that we just worked through with my guest co-host for the day. Would you introduce yourself, please?
It's me, comedian Chrissie Mayr, and we're starting on time, by the way. This is very impressive.
Did we start on time when I did Simcast? I don't remember. I think we did.
Yeah. You were very prompt, and you were there the whole time. You were an A+ person.
Well, how long was that? Was that about 2 hours?
I think it's a 3-hour show.
Oh, then yeah. Like if it's so it depends. Like if it's the type of thing where you plan like a week or two ahead of time, and they're like, "Can you do the show?" Then definitely you stay for the whole thing. But if you're a regular on someone's show, you're not necessarily expected to stay the whole time. If it's the type of stream where you just pop in.
True. Yeah, every show is different. And then I do Friday Night Tights every Friday, and then you're basically expected to stay that whole time, and that's like a 3.5-hour show.
They give you a side eye if you want to leave early. Everyone's like, yeah, you can leave early. I'm not saying we're not going to like kick you out of the group chat.
There's no leaving early. No, but I'm so excited to be here, Brett. Also, if your viewers, if anybody is in Orlando, you can come see me next Friday. I'll be at the Orlando Comedy Club, also known as the Calypso Bar and Grill.
Right there.
That's going to be next Friday, the 20th, at 10 o'clock. So if you're in town for the Geeks and Gamers meetup in Orlando,
perfect timing.
I'll see you guys there.
So when was the last time you performed live?
Oh my gosh, it's been a minute. Maybe December.
What is that process like? I think I asked you before the show. I said, but basically, like, you have to like get back into, I guess, like what, stage readiness?
Kind of. And you can, like, at a certain point, every comedian is different, but at a certain point you do have a strong sense of like what is funny, what will work on stage and what won't. And then for the stuff that you're not sure about, like, yeah, you do have to kind of like get up and test it out. There's sometimes you can test certain types of material on a podcast, but that podcasts are so by no means any substitute for live stand-up. It'll never be the same.
Feels like completely different things to me.
Yeah, it is completely like it's like a sense of something is funny or not, but again, like you kind of use your own, like if it makes you laugh, if you think it's an interesting idea, then at this point, like however many years in, I'm in like, oh God, 14 or something. When did I start? 2011? 15 years? Wow.
Well, that means you got it down. You've at least got a general idea of what you know will work and what maybe like. Has there ever been something you've tried where you threw it out there, you didn't think it would work, but it did?
Oh, for sure. A lot of times just it could be an honest reaction to if material didn't do well, and you have an honest reaction, or if you have an honest reaction to like something going on in the room, or you're just pointing something out. Sometimes that can have a bigger response than a joke that you've hammered down for years. So
perfect.
It's always good to stay loose. But yeah, very excited to go to Orlando next week.
Yes, guys. Looks like next Saturday.
Well, yeah, the show's next Friday. But
next Friday.
I'll be at the meetup
on Saturday
also, which is happening next Saturday.
Awesome, guys. You should go and check that out. I've got I put it up on screen there, and go follow Chrissie on X, and she will be able to direct you to the links that you need to find to go and see her live. That's going to be awesome. Would you guys all, if you are watching this show live right now, hit the like button on this video, subscribe to the channel. Perhaps if you are new here, perhaps Chrissie is the one that drew you into this show today. In fact, I got a 20 here from Clint Torres that says exactly that. So what you should do, guys, is you should hit the like button. You should subscribe if you're new here and you've not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you. Share the show out with everybody in your life that you both love and hate. And let's face it would actually be funnier to share this with somebody that you dislike. Then you can argue about the show down in the comments, and then you get to be mean to someone. I get engagement on my videos. It's a win-win for literally everyone. Also, if you are a channel member, remember we have opened up channel memberships here on PCC. I did put out a brand new episode with with Stephanie from Geeks and Gamers. We did it a full hour and 26 minutes talking about all things DC. We talked about what was going on with The Bride. We got into a whole bunch of other stuff that is up right now on the channel for members. So go ahead and subscribe and become a member, and you can go and watch that episode. I want to put out a lot of extra bonus content. I'm considering doing more movie reviews and putting that up just for the members. So go ahead and join, please. We would love to have you. Also, remember, guys, that, let's see, next week should be a normal schedule. Friday was supposed to be not a normal schedule. I was going to be missing tomorrow, but we are going to make it happen. So we are back to 5 days a week. So what are we getting into today? We have a bunch of stuff to talk about. Henry Cavill versus Timothée Chalamet. I guess it's like the meme, which way Western man, except for it's which way Western woman. Right? So people are arguing about why it is that there is a certain contingent of people, nobody that I know specifically, that finds Timothée Chalamet to be the more handsome between him and Henry Cavill, which seems absolutely absurd on its face. But perhaps we will get into it and discover just what it is that's causing such a phenomenon these days. Also, I want to talk about the possibility that there have been rumors that there would be a terrorist attack at the Oscars, and it could be tied in a lot of ways to the way the U.S. media is portraying what's going on. Basically, what they're saying is that network, not that anybody finds network comedians funny anymore, late night comedians funny anymore, but there is a contingent of boomers who still watch that type of stuff. And of their humor since everything started with Iran, 94% of those jokes have been, from what they've said, anti-U.S. and anti-ally, and the rest of it, like, I guess they took a very daring risk and 6% of the jokes made fun of Iran. So we'll get into that. Also, I don't know how to pronounce Iran because I say it differently every single time. I think I've said Iran, Iran, all of those ones. So we'll talk about that. We're also going to talk about the fact that Ozempic is still caving people's faces in, and Brianna Chicken Fry, she was a Barstool Sports lady, she has come out and said, look, you're gonna die if you guys keep using this stuff. And she says that nobody she knows that is on it actually needs it. They're just doing it out of vanity. Also, you need to see these pictures of Ryan Seacrest. He looks like death right now. And diversity in film. Ladies and gentlemen, I love it. You love it. Everybody loves it. We know this for a fact now because a new study from UCLA, which I'm sure is not biased at all, is saying that that is what Hollywood needs to do to be successful. So we're going to cover that. We're going to cover a bunch of other stuff. But before we get started, guys, I do want to get these 20s from Clint Torres. I feel bad I made him wait this long. Remember, all Super Chats $20 and over. I will interrupt the discussion and I will read them. Clint says, howdy, people. Chrissie, you're a very nice lady and the sole reason for me tuning in today. You're the best guest and the greatest thing that has ever happened to this show.
Wow.
That's very nice.
That's such high praise. I just got here. I might stink. I might tank the show. Let's wait and see.
Well, you've done the show before. You can't tank it if you've done it.
Oh, true. That's true.
Yeah. The only thing that's going to tank us today is if we have tech issues. So I'm knocking on wood right now. We're hoping against hope that does not happen. Clint also added, Brett, I don't feel bad. I like you more than Tate. Oh, well, that's rude. I love Tate. You can't.
How rude.
It's very rude. All right. Now, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get started. Let's talk about what is going on with the Oscars coming up on Sunday. Oddly enough, it feels like the Oscars are actually more relevant than they've been in like 15 years, apparently because Timothée Chalamet made everybody angry by talking about how nobody gives a crap about ballet and opera anymore. Thus, some people are actually paying attention to the Oscars this year. But one of the things that has been coming out is that the FBI is warning about a potential surprise attack from Iran at the Oscars this year, claiming that they could end up using drones. And on its face, it seemed absolutely ridiculous to me, but I suppose it's not the most ridiculous thing in the world. They've increased their security, like 1,000 private security officers, SWAT detection dogs, and it kind of brings to mind whenever they talk about gun control, and they're like, you shouldn't have a gun, but, oh, by the way, we have 1,000 security guards protecting our event when we go out and basically schmooze with one another. Do you
Wow.
care about the Oscars these days?
Nobody would want this to happen more than Hollywood.
Oh, I know, right?
Oh my God, they would love it. They would make a movie about it. I think if there was such an attack, like God, nobody obviously no, God forbid.
Yes.
Nobody wants this to happen. But if it does happen, Hollywood would love it. The actors would love it. They love being victims. They love attention. And who knows? Like they could even potentially use it down the line to justify not having these award shows because the ratings have been bad. I just feel like they've been tanking for quite some time. I feel like at least maybe 15 years or so.
I do think,
I just don't think people are watching that they used to.
I do think, however, the one reason they wouldn't like it is because they wouldn't like the idea of a Middle Eastern country doing it because they don't want to criticize any Middle Eastern country.
Oh,
what they would
right.
what they would want to happen is like the U.S. tried to deploy a drone and somehow it hit them by accident. That way they could be mad at their own country. They would love that.
Right. They do not want to be mad at anybody brown. That's
if Israel did it. They would love it if Israel did it. That way they could complain about Israel. But then even then that doesn't really work because that's actually probably the most evenly split Hollywood has ever been on an issue in the last 20 years. Is this just the fact that there is such a large representation of Jews in Hollywood, but also a large representation of people who are very much in support of Palestine. It's like the only thing they're split on.
Yeah, it's really, and people, Hollywood people just, they love to have a cause. They love to feel like they're important and their voices are the only thing helping, the poor brown people out there. Like they're not really aware of or maybe they are aware of their insignificance or their irrelevance, but they're just, a lot of them are like, this is the industry I'm in. I can't pivot and, code software at this point.
Is this something you saw? Because I mean, you're kind of adjacent to Hollywood in a lot of ways, and you've had people on your show that are, in the Hollywood sphere. Is this something that you noticed earlier in your career that people were kind of pushed to have these opinions because it was beneficial to their brand rather than their actual feelings? Because I still believe that most of them, cynically, depending on the day, I can believe that a lot of them say things just because it's the right thing to say. But I do believe that Hollywood pumps out art nerds, and art nerds love to have a cause.
Art nerds love to have a cause. Yeah, it's a mostly liberal industry. But I do think a lot of them, they're either quiet or they have to be really outspoken on liberal causes and liberal concerns. And I do think their agents if they don't share these opinions, I think their agents put pressure on them to either talk about it anyway or probably stay quiet. Yeah. It's a tricky situation, but they also, no one's forcing you to be an actor. And we've seen plenty of examples of actors like what the hell is his name? Kelsey Grammer has talked about how he was like a closeted conservative for many years, and Kevin Sorbo, and look at how great Roseanne is doing now.
But the thing is, you almost get ghettoized. Like once you admit that, and that's not to insult or put down the work that they end up doing, because look, like the likes of Dean Cain, they also produce a lot and they direct a lot, they make all their own stuff, but it is something that is true that when Jonathan Majors got a role in a Daily Wire movie recently after his, quote unquote cancellation because he was convicted of, I forget what it was like simple battery or something like that.
Just
but the
simple
point is,
battery, not like a complicated
I love that's
battery.
Well, that is an actual term, right? But the point is, when he got hired by the Daily Wire, it became a novel idea to discuss because it is a form of ghettoization that now they have to take work in this industry, this side industry that is kind of running alongside actual Hollywood, but at a slower pace.
You are kind of forced into this niche, which it shouldn't have been. Like a lot of people were very excited when Daily Wire was starting to make an attempt to do movies. We're like, ooh, there could be a possible competition with Hollywood, but that sort of fizzled out, as everybody.
That's never. I mean, I never saw that as viable. Like to me, it's not viable because most of the time, when Hollywood gets it right, you get it right by wanting to make a movie without a political agenda in mind. Now, that does not mean that a director or a writer or an actor doesn't have one, but it's buried within the storytelling well enough that you don't have to worry about it necessarily beating you over the head with it. But the thing is to make conservative art, it's always from the place of an agenda in mind. And that doesn't, just because it's an agenda you agree with, doesn't make it any more enjoyable to watch when it's over the top. We did actually do a review of Lady Ballers when it came out. And I said the movie was at its best when they focused on the storytelling between the dad and the daughter, and they went for these kind of heartfelt moments about coming of age or whatever the discussions they were having. But when they were doing like the clunky anti-woke comedy, it was just kind of made me roll my eyes. So I was like, you actually did your film a disservice by needing to kind of couch it in those terms when it could have just been a movie about this type of thing. But the thing is, it's very hard when you get up off the couch to make a movie strictly for the fact of trying to push back against regular Hollywood. The agenda's there from the beginning.
Right. And if those voices are so stifled and so censored by regular Hollywood, it's like a pressure release valve. It's gonna come out somehow, and then as we see, it came out in this kind of like heavy-handed, borderline cringy way that Daily Wire did. And you see the overall effect is like we have not had good comedy films in like something like 10 years now. I think the last round of them was like 2014, 15, maybe even 16 of like the Bridesmaid era.
Are you excited for Scary Movie 6?
No, like it's not really my sense of humor. It's not like I'm not like a simple humor person. I'm not like, and I like slapstick. I like Mr. Bean. I like I don't know. I like sight gags, but I don't know. Maybe it's a little too like lowbrow for me. It just like I watched the trailer. It did not elicit a laugh.
Me neither. I said the same thing. People got mad. They said like I need a humor transplant. I said there was one joke maybe in the middle where I laughed, and I don't even remember what it was, but the rest of it was just like
it was like there's a difference between like I'm like, oh, it's clever and referencey, but nothing in there made me laugh.
The dildo did kind of make me laugh. That was about the only one. But that, like you said, that's a prop gag more than the first joke was like a pronoun joke. And I'm like, it's not edgy. Nobody thinks it's edgy. It hasn't been edgy for a while. Network television, network television, even now, which is the wokest of the woke in a lot of ways, will make pronoun jokes at the expense of characters to kind of point out how silly they are. You're not breaking new ground with that.
That's how you know it's really safe if network TV is doing it.
I don't feel like humor for me these days. There's no real comedies that have spoke to me in any type of fashion that's supposed to be strictly comedy. I watch some shows that have like very, very silly premises to them. I like this show called Best Medicine, which is like an American adaptation of a show called Doc Martin, which was a UK series. And all of the characters are absurd and stupid, and it's very silly. But it's not trying to be inherently humorous in the way that most comedy is trying to do now, which is to find what passes for transgressive in the year 2026. And I don't even know what that would look like.
I know. I watch shows that aren't meant to be funny and find them hysterical, like My 600-Pound Life or Love on the Spectrum. Like and like I'm a mom, so I have like very, very limited time for any kind of leisurely content consumption. It's like the shows I watch, it's like stuff I have to watch for Friday Night Tights, which are like new movies.
It's like homework kind of for you.
Yeah, it's homework. It's like anything in like the nerd sphere. Like we're currently watching like the new Star Trek Academy show.
Oh, they're making you watch Starfleet Academy?
Yes.
You should. They could be prosecuted under the Geneva Convention for that. That's not unlikely.
But like, and my husband and I, we watch old Seinfeld episodes, you know, like to fall asleep to, and like it's even at this point, there's still some I haven't seen yet. So like, I'll genuinely like. That will genuinely elicit a laugh for me. And I did not appreciate that show when it first came out. I think you do have to be just like a certain age to appreciate it. Yeah.
You know, he turned down $100 million to do a season 10.
Wow. Must be nice when you have all the money in the world and don't need money.
Like that's actually the worst type of artist is the one who's like so detached from the world where you're like, I was going to do it, but you know, I couldn't really find a story. Wow. And it's like, you find a story for $100 million. You put on your thinking cap and you find something.
I think he probably said no because he's like, he ended on such a high note. I think anything... He might be like, oh, I risk not ending on a high note. I risk possible, not like he could get canceled. He's a bajillionaire, but like you risk possible, like I think he probably figured it's more of a headache than it's worth with the current climate
Well, no,
and how it is towards comedy.
Was at the original show. So when they finished season 9, they wanted a season 10. And somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I was listening to, I watched this like documentary on Must See TV, and they said like when they wanted season 10, he said no, and they offered him $100 million. He said no.
Wow, we gotta find out why he said no.
Now you wouldn't even get that. Now they try to put it on streaming. They wouldn't even put it on network television. You'd get a flat rate, and you wouldn't get anywhere near the money he was getting back then.
I would love another season of Curb. I would take that in a heartbeat.
What was the last great comedic show that was actually meant to be comedy?
Ooh, I really, really enjoyed The Righteous Gemstones. Okay. That was like funny all the way through. Very binge worthy. Yeah, I guess that
how long ago was that?
Maybe 2 years ago.
It's not too bad. It's not too long ago. All right. Look, guys, the point was, and we didn't even really necessarily get into it, this was really funny. 94% of late night jokes about the war in Iran mocked the United States and our allies. I posted the other day a picture of 50 Cent in Iraq, and I said George Bush had better war propaganda, which we really did back then. You know, we were actually a country. You know, we used to be a country. Even the rap stars went out and helped support the troops along with John Cena and all of that stuff. And it feels like when you see these types of headlines that are talking about the possibility of a terrorist attack on the Oscars, I see people who are saying like it's going to end up being a false flag to try and get support around the war. And I don't think that's even possible anymore because of the internet.
Gee, I wonder. Anything is possible, and it stinks kind of like we can't accept anything at face value anymore. But maybe it's a good thing, because maybe we're just false flags and propaganda have been going on for decades and decades, and it's good to be critical of everything you're seeing and be like, okay, what's the intended purpose of what I'm watching, and like, what am I feeling? Okay, could that feeling be a possible premeditated outcome of whoever's put this out?
Well, I'll tell you what, any false flag that tries to get me to sympathize with Seth Rogen isn't going to work. I can't do that. It's not going to happen.
I've never liked him.
Though there was a post the other day that was like it listed 4 comedians and you had to get rid of one, and it was like I think it was Seinfeld, Jim Carrey, Seth Rogen, and I forget who the 4th one was, but literally everyone's like Seth Rogen.
Oh, you don't even say who the 4th one is. It's like, it's Seth Rogen. We're good.
All right, guys, let's move on. This one's a little bit more depressing to talk about, especially when you look at the way that it feels like people in Hollywood these days, because of the rise of Ozempic, their faces are almost melting these days. That's what it looks like. And if you don't know who Brianna Chicken Fry is, she was a Barstool Sports commentator. She had a video that came out the other day where she was talking about how she herself had like an eating disorder that caused, it was like an anxious disorder where basically after she would eat, it would cause her to throw up. She was not trying to.
Oh, you mean bulimia?
No. So, I mean, they phrased it as differently than that, but they were basically saying that she would get so anxious from eating that she would throw up, so she would avoid eating altogether. But she's talking about Ozempic, and she says, no tea, no shade, no hate, just some field research, she said in a TikTok video. Every single bitch I know is on Ozempic. People that do not need Ozempic. It's like, if I did Ozempic, could I lose a couple pounds? Surely. Do I need Ozempic? No. She was basically pointing out that everybody she knows is on it and none of them need it. And she's like, you're going to die. You're all going to die. And we are in this kind of period now where it feels like for about 5 years, roughly give or take 5 years, you had what was ostensibly called body positivity, where they started highlighting people of all different shapes. My favorite is the Calvin Klein ad, that one really, really horrendous Calvin Klein ad. But now you get to understand the actual thought process for most of these people, which is that they never actually wanted to do that. They just didn't want to do the work to get skinny. Now that they have medication that can help them shortcut their way to it, they're doing so, and it's actually to their own detriment. You don't lose weight the same way. The skin becomes looser. And it's just, is this something that you would have seen in your industry before? Like where people who may not before have, because comedians, like there is their own contingent. From everything that I've seen, there's plenty of comedians that hop on social justice issues. And maybe perhaps it wasn't that they actually wanted everybody to be a different size. They just didn't want to put in the work to be skinny.
Oh, well, sure. Fat people are, guess what, lazy. And there's no worse city to be observing the body positivity movement than New York City, because the very same Calvin Klein ads that you're referencing, like to see them up on billboards, like I would occasionally, I even say this movement has been like the last 10 years. It's been longer. It's been like, I feel like it lines up with the Obama era. I would look up at these billboards and I was like, oh no, it's the end of the world. Here comes a meteor. And no, it would just be a body positive model on a big old billboard there. And I'm like, blocking out the sun.
How can you even be fat in New York City? You have to walk to get everywhere.
It's because the cheap food is subsidized. I mean, that's like, it's the same reasons why like poor people are fatter than people who make more money, and they're like less conscious of it. But yes, you're right. You do walk way more in New York City. But just food it's on every corner, every bodega, everywhere. People just aren't burning as much as they're taking in. And there are so many comedians that were, again, it's like it falls in the category of like, are you a liberal? Here are the things that you care about and fight for, and like body positivity is in that column. And again, like, yeah, it's all just a cope. The body positivity thing is such a cope. And I think, you know, remember when Cosmopolitan was like had some covers that went viral and they said like fat is healthy or fat is fit. It was part of this like BLM or like post BLM era where a lot of these magazines had to like really go out of their way to pander to Black women and Black people. And like, I think that's what they wanted to do, was like pander to like the obese Black female community. And even though all the statistics based on like who's got more of a disposable income, it's like, that's what the whole like post BLM, you know, commercial era was about. It didn't even matter like who spent more money on clothes or who spent more, you know, who was a better target audience. It was like, yeah, we're going to put all that aside and just pander to Black people because this is just what we're all doing right now. And I think that is why I think that's a big component of like the body positivity movement.
They all fall into the same category though. So all of that falls into, like you said earlier, if you're a leftist comedian, you're going to be given talking points because you're not allowed to really disagree on anything. And this actually came up recently because somebody brought up, oh my God, they were talking about what wokeness was in like a post that I had. And they were basically saying like this specific topic can't be wokeness because it doesn't have anything to do with like gender identity or anything like that. But it was a topic about, it was something to do with some medical show. And it was about health insurance. You know, nobody can afford health insurance anymore. And it also had to do with ICE coming in. I was like, what does ICE have to do with an episode of The Pit, which is a TV show? And somebody's like, well, that's not woke because it doesn't have anything to do with racial identity. I was like, that's the problem. That's not what that word means. I never use that word because it means 10,000 different things to 10,000 different people. But broadly speaking, it falls under the umbrella of progressivism, which would have been issues like racial politics, weight politics fall in there because they have their own terms for that as well. Gender politics and feminism, immigration, things like that. You're kind of expected.
Veganism, all the dumb shit we're supposed to.
But veganism, oddly enough, is a product of a bygone era where it actually feels like that's the less important of them. Where it's like, you know what? I miss the hippies. I miss the hippies a little bit. The ones who complained, because at the very least, you could get into a discussion with a vegan and ask them like, okay, so are you a vegan for health reasons or are you a vegan for cruelty reasons? Either way, I'm going to tell you I don't agree because I'm not going to stop eating hamburgers.
The hippies are all boomers, and the boomers are all in their like mostly I think 70s and 80s now. Yeah. Are any of them in their late 60s? I don't know. Maybe like we're getting into Gen X, but like I don't know. I think the boomers are largely like, a lot of them are pretty insufferable and like extremely set in their ways. And I go up to upstate New York a lot, and it's in like Sullivan County near like where Woodstock originally was.
Oh my goodness.
A lot of those like Woodstock boomers kind of like settled up there, and they're just all liberal and living in a bubble. I mean, lots of different groups live in a bubble, but there's just something like the boomers did so well financially that they have the luxury of kind of staying in their bubble.
This is the other thing about it, though. So she was talking about Ozempic, and it feels hyperbolic when somebody says, like, it's going to kill you. That's not really necessarily all that far off. I saw this today as well. Dozens sue Ozempic after sudden vision loss. Dozens of people are suing Ozempic, reportedly left them blind. A Maryland man is one of those suing, saying the drug contributed to his total vision loss. So he went blind in one eye, continued taking the drug, and then went blind in the other eye. And he wasn't using, and this is the scary thing, he wasn't using it for weight loss. He actually had diabetes, which is what the medication was actually used for. It says Todd Engel, a resident of Columbia, Maryland, is among the dozens of Americans now suing the maker of the popular diabetes and weight loss drug after they say the medication led to vision loss. Todd Engel was working as a professional truck driver for Howard County Highways in 2023 when his doctor prescribed Ozempic to manage his diabetes. Around New Year's Eve, he suffered what doctors described as a stroke, leaving him completely blind in his right eye. At the time, he continued taking the medication, unaware there could be a connection. 10 months later, he woke up unable to see out of his left eye. He was later diagnosed with a condition known as non-arteritic anterior ischemic optic neuropathy, thus leading to total vision loss. He's now completely blind.
Dang. And you know what? Like, you want to hate on somebody who's taking it just for vanity, like just to lose weight, but this guy needed it. He is the intended original, audience for this drug, and he's going blind. That's horrible.
Like, you're getting your insults ready for the person who's taking it for those reasons. And
like, I was about to be like, what? Because the first big side effect of Ozempic was forever diarrhea, and yet that was not enough to cause like a mass stoppage on taking this, because at the end of the day, people would rather shit their pants than be fat, and I think people would rather be blind than fat.
Yeah, that's the first thing that I think of whenever I see the celebrities on the red carpet. I'm just like, basically what it is. They go out there, you walk the red carpet, it takes maybe 20, 30 minutes to get into your seat, and that's what they're doing it all for. They're making their lives miserable so that they can walk in front of a bunch of cameras and smile for those photos and look skinny. That's that's depressing.
Yeah, they should just, I don't know, create their own red carpet at home and then use a bunch of filters and then submit those photos via their agents.
I would appreciate that.
Maybe that's next, because that's normal people aren't going to these events. That's all for just the photos. Then the photos trickle down to the normies.
Well, yeah, and then look, it's not like social media hasn't kind of destroyed whole generations of people as far as what they feel like they're supposed to look like or what their image is supposed to be. In a lot of ways, I do feel for women in that respect, which is that for guys, no, not to be fair, like I could wake up every day and been like, I don't look like Henry Cavill, like it's society's fault, I better get on steroids or something like that. Not that I think he actually needs to use steroids to get there, but you get my point, right? You're looking for a shortcut to get to where it is. And let's not kid ourselves. That's exactly what many of the actors that go on to do superhero movies do. At the very least, a lot of them, as they're getting older, are on TRT and other such things. So it exists. But I've always kind of been, and this is where I have a hard time with this one, Hollywood is a visual medium. So I'm not going to be mad at a male actor for using steroids to reach his peak of performance. I'm actually one of those people that agrees that the Olympics should allow you to use whatever drug you want. As far as I'm concerned, they should look like freaks of nature. They should be the most jacked, ridiculous looking.
Because it's for our enjoyment, our entertainment.
Exactly. Like, I think if baseball really wanted to matter again, they would just let the players use steroids.
Oh, well, then that really affects who they would let. If it was accepted, then that really upends the Hall of Fame and who they let in.
Barry Bonds better be let in then.
Mark McGuire. I don't know. I don't know if he's in or not.
No, he gets kept out. You know why? Because he cried after he admitted it, from what I remember. If something correct me,
he's out because he's a pussy.
because he's a baby. Like, that's like, I remember somebody saying he cried when he gave his testimony after using him. It's like, it's one thing if maybe you didn't use them, you blew the whistle, and then everybody on the league turned on you, but you used them and then you cried during testimony. Give me a break. We'll let all of the baseball players use steroids. See, the thing is that was never as bad as they made it out to be to begin with, because the pitchers could use them too. It's not like it was only the hitters that could use steroids.
That's true. I want to use steroids just watching from the audience.
Is there an actor like my favorite example is Kumail Nanjiani, who was he's a comedian. He was I don't know if he was ever a stand-up comedian, but he was on Silicon Valley, and I mean that's not what I knew him from. I knew him from he had his own X-Files podcast that I really liked.
Wow.
But when he got hired for Marvel, he got into tremendous shape, and I don't think anybody on planet Earth bought that he got that way naturally. At least I don't. But that was his job, right? It's your job to do that. Is there an actor who you looked at that was like, wow, that guy's like way too big to be natural now after being smaller when they were younger?
I felt the same way about Kumail Nanjiani, because I'm just like, that's not a comedy body.
No, it's not.
That doesn't look like a body where jokes come out of.
Chris Pratt was the same way after like Community or whatever, and then he got really good shape.
Good though. Like I think he kind of pulled it off. Like
it's the thing for most of this is I feel for the women. Like I said, the men when they do this stuff, it's far more accepted. Like there is no actual real discourse around whether or not men should be using steroids. It's just kind of accepted that they do. And look, there are men using Ozempic. I'll give you an example, right? Or at least it seems like. Did you see these images of Ryan Seacrest?
He looks completely different. He looks like
face?
a different person. He looks like he's turning into a lesbian.
Kind of. Yeah. Yeah. He looks like he drives a Subaru now.
He does. He has a Subaru face.
Like
come on now. Look at that. He looks like Tig Notaro.
It's not good. Here he kind of looks like...
He was always thin. Like, again, these people using Ozempic just to tweak and shave off a few pounds. Like, clearly it's doing so much more than just that,
But it has to be like when you've literally lived in front of a camera your whole adult life. Like, I find it hard to believe that you can just escape that without neurosis of some sort.
No, of course not. And again, when you look at the women who end up... Men are always like, why do women just fuck with their faces? Why can't they just leave their faces alone? Hello, look at the women doing this. It's women who are either cosplayers or like models, or they're public figures, or even like comedians can fall into this too. If you spend a lot of time looking at your face, watching yourself on tape, editing yourself in clips, you're constantly going to be like, ugh. You want to look as good as you can for as long as possible. So of course you're going to be like, what can I tweak? What can I do? What can I afford?
Do you have to watch back your own clips and see your own stuff?
Oh yeah, it's horrible. I really that's why I too need to hire. Well, I have an editor for my I have someone who does clips for my podcast, but I need to get somebody to do my stand-up clips, because I just can't stand the sight of myself or the sound of myself.
That's me. It's like the sound of my voice. No. Like when I'm editing for the show. So when we get done with the show, I get done with this. I go put it on the editing computer. And I start cutting up the clips. If I hear my own voice, I literally make a sour face, and I'm like and actually there was a tweet today where somebody actually, you know what? I'm gonna see if I can pull it up. It was actually really, really funny because somebody sent this on YouTube, and I laughed because I 100% agreed with this guy. And it makes me laugh because you can't take yourself too seriously. But this guy says, here it is. It says, Brett's shrill, high-pitched voice is quite the thing to hear in the morning. You wouldn't want that one talking before your first cup of joe. And I'm like, he's out of line.
You don't have a shrill voice.
I was like, he's out of line, but he's right. And that's fine.
No, I wouldn't say you're shrill.
The problem, I was like, you know what? Sorry for being excited. Sorry.
Right. Excuse me for living my life and waking up with a pulse in my veins and a boner in my pants. Excuse me.
It made me laugh because but the point is still the same. Anybody who is front facing and puts themselves out there, whether it's stand-up comedy or acting, you could develop a certain level of neurosis because you're kind of inviting the world to judge you all the time. So it's no wonder that people end up on stuff like Ozempic. I don't find that shocking at all.
Because everyone's you got to compete. You're constantly assessing what can be improved, evaluated. Yeah.
All right, let's do cringe of the day first, ladies and gentlemen. We've got cringe of the day. I asked you to watch this beforehand, so I made sure that you have seen this before.
And I can't stop watching it, Brett.
It's that amazing. We're gonna watch a trailer for a new
For a
clavicular
person.
for a person.
What are we even watching? What is this even a trailer for?
It's not even
What
a
is he
trailer for a
selling?
movie. It's just a trailer for him.
Is he selling a set of classes? Is he selling a program? This is just a trailer for himself?
Okay, let's watch this here, guys. This is
hell?
I guess this is for Clavicular the movie.
Do you know I call him Banicula? Like, I don't know if you remember. I'm dating myself, clearly, but I think in grade school we had to read a series of books called Banicula about a bunny who was a vampire and sucked the color out of the carrots.
Okay.
So every time I hear clavicular, I just think of Banicula.
Okay, here, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and watch this here. Here we go. I also love the music, the very, very like deep music.
It's very serious.
Yes.
He lives in a doctor's
luxury
office.
condominium in downtown Miami.
There is not one sign of
penthouse.
life in this whole apartment.
Here we go.
My name is Clavicular. I'm 20 years old. I believe in Looksmaxxing.
I feel like he just gave the people's eyebrow to the mirror there, like The Rock. It looks like a plastic surgeon. Yeah, it looks like a plastic surgeon's office.
Scalpel.
The idea of maximizing physical attractiveness by any means necessary in order to ascend.
I also maybe the most pro-capitalism thing is that there is like a industry-specific face bone smashing thing there.
No, he pulled that out of his mother's kitchen and just cleaned it off. He cleaned the beef.
It looks
juice off of
specific
it.
to me. Is that what that's for? Is that a cooking utensil?
I used that. We used that to make chicken tenders.
That's even funnier. He's like, I can't eat dino nuggies anymore because I have to mog everyone, so I'm gonna use it to crush my face. Here we go.
In the morning, if my jaw looks a little weak, I'll bone smash to strengthen
I
it.
thought he would be hitting himself
My
much
ratios are
harder than
nearly
that.
golden.
I was kind of
First thing I thought.
upset.
I was
I was
like,
disappointed.
you thought it was gonna be like, ugh.
Yeah, I'm like, you say bone smashing, I expect to see bones breaking.
He's bone nudging at most.
Testosterone for muscle growth.
Yep, still gay.
Disoxin, as for appetite suppression.
So did he give up on the meth for appetite suppression?
Glutathione for health
Look at this.
maxing.
This is his fridge.
Yeah.
His fridge looks like a biohazard lab. He lives in the Wuhan
Peptides
lab.
for anti-aging and collagen
He
production.
just shoots himself up.
Melanotan
Again,
2 for healthy glow.
when you are 20 years old, you can look this good without all this shit because you have time and genetics all in your favor. I am not impressed. Like, you don't need all this shit to look good at 20. You really don't. And also, he has nothing but time.
If anything,
He has who even knows what job he has? But he definitely doesn't have a wife. He definitely doesn't have kids. He definitely is not taking care of aging parents.
Yeah.
He didn't have anything in his life. Like, he just has not lived enough life yet to which, like, yes, I respect the discipline. I remember not too long ago, I was in a point in my life where I was very disciplined with working out, with eating. It was like right before I got married. I was like, I want to look awesome. And I did. And so I respect the discipline, but it's at no other time in your life is it easier to do this than when you are 20 years old and you have literally nothing else tugging at you. No other responsibilities, it's like, you better look this good at 20. What else are you doing with your day? You're not taking care of a kid. You're not having to go see your dad in hospice. You're not,
well, also,
and he's talking about how like, oh, looks maxing is life maxing. Well, and again, it's like, where are your friends? Are you smiling? Have you laughed today? That's part of life maxing too, is having like quality, is like, you know, life, and Jordan Peterson talks about this all the time. Life is not about just happiness and like, oh, his whole spiel is like, if more attractive people are happier and life is easier for you. But like, true happiness is about taking on responsibility, like valuable responsibility in your life, and that is, you know, taking care of a family. And
beyond
like,
just
some people it's their work too.
Beyond just like the narcissism of your own vanity.
Yeah, of course. Everybody wants to be attractive. Great. Good for you. But again, like if you're 45, 50 years old looking like this, then I'll be impressed. Okay. Cause then like, and this is not, I didn't know if he was selling a program or a class or something. And you know what? He totally could. Because he has a very specific brand and he certainly gets a lot of attention, but like, this is not realistic for most people. See this and roll their eyes and go, okay, is he gay or like whatever, but it's like most people go, okay, have real lives, and this type of regime is not doable for most people. So he's just kind of like a cartoon. And again, if he were like twice his age and like, hey, I've been through X, Y, and Z thing in my life, or here's how
well, there's the Brian Johnson dude who wants to like defeat aging, the guy who's doing all the stuff to look young forever, and all he does is look exactly his age. He's like 45 and he looks exactly 45. The other thing here is like, I don't know how much I trust that this dude works out on the regular if he works out in jeans.
Yeah, he doesn't really look like he lifts, and I was seeing that in the comments as well. Men were saying like he doesn't where are your muscles, sir? Like I know you're lean, good for you, but like if I was moving, he wouldn't even be in the top 20 people I would ask to help me move. I feel like I could lift a bed better than him. And he looks so unhappy. He looks so like, is that part of mogging? Is looking depressed?
Yes.
I don't know. I'm unfamiliar with mogging.
Well, no. So the other thing is he's talking about using like hair growths like that. From what I understand, if you use Rogaine before your hair actually starts to fall out, it actually ends up making it fall out faster. And and the other rest of the comments were like, isn't this kind of just proving that you have inferior genes if you have to do all of this at 20?
At 20, you shouldn't have to do any of this. Are you kidding me? Like, I looked amazing. We all looked amazing at 20.
I mean, he's got great lighting.
When it comes to Ascension,
it's very dark where he is.
Also, he's putting eyeliner in, and as far as I'm
curling
concerned,
his eyelashes. Why would you show people that part?
You're not life match.
Oh, is that what that was? He's curling his
eyelashes.
Oh boy.
If you're not life maxing.
Oh, look, I'm putting on a suit. Oh my God, my pants fit. Wow, I haven't lived enough life and been through enough trauma where I've had to put on any weight for any reason.
The Mog World Order, it says. Where do you think this all comes from? This the current trends that people are seeing. I did see. I saw your post about the Netflix documentary.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, they're just trying to rev up the LGBTQ content.
The Louis Theroux goes inside the manosphere, and I saw one person talking about how it's basically just feminism for men. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that, and I think what we're seeing in Bunnicula here is the male equivalent of the girl who gets too much lip filler and ends up like, he doesn't look ridiculous yet. Like he looks fine, and you could look at him and go, oh, that's just. You could say that's a naturally good-looking kid, young adult, whatever.
But it's not, because he had to smash his face to do it.
But he doesn't, he doesn't look like he's not getting the like fillers in his arms. You know how some people like they shoot their biceps up with fluid, or he's not getting a BBL. It's just like, it seems like a lot of work to look how you're kind of supposed to look, more or less at 20 anyway. So it's like
the same thing as like I watch with horror this one dude on Instagram who got the leg lengthening surgery, and it's like a whole year of him having to learn how to walk again because of the surgery
to be 3 inches taller.
Yeah, and I was like, I said, you know why the only people who should ever do that, it should be somebody who's 6'3" who wants to be 6'7", because if you're my height and I'm 5'6", okay. If I do all of that just to be the average height of an American male, there's something so depressing to do that and not just own what something you weren't able to control.
That's so much hassle
like
to go through, and you might still be like, I'm not tall enough yet.
Well, yeah, it doesn't ever clear up the neuroses that you have. You're going to be just as self-conscious after as you were before.
Right.
At the very least, because now you look like you're on stilts and like you're going to tip over every time because your torso is now the wrong length for the length of your legs.
This clavicular person he set a very high standard for himself. Like, this is his brand. I mean, like, so the minute something falls off for him, or there's somebody in his, God forbid he has a death in the family, or some like life happens, right? And you can't stay on your routine. Like, people will come for him so hard if any aspect of his looks were to falter. That's the tricky part about making your entire brand around your looks, something that you ultimately like can't control.
Yeah. All right, let's do cute of the day because it's always best to kind of, counterbalance the cringe with the cute of the day. Today, here we go. This is a very cute cat. Hobbs begging for attention.
Oh, give him a peanut. What a cat. I don't even know what cats eat. What do they?
They eat cat food.
Treats.
They
Okay.
eat cat food. And they get treats. We had to bring one of our. Well, my wife had to bring one of our cats to the vet. Me saying we yesterday, like her having to do that is like stolen valor because it's not easy to get Chloe to the. She had to bring Chloe to the vet yesterday, and she said that it was like one of the few times she actually wasn't horrible because basically it was like a nighttime raid in the Middle East where she had to like find Chloe while she was asleep, pick her up and put her in the cat carrier to get her out of the house before she could the cat would know what's going on and try tooth and nail to try and stop from getting put in the cat carrier.
Oh my gosh. Wait till she's asleep. That's funny.
All right, we got a $20 super chat here from Shane H. Wilder. He says, he is the modern-day Narcissus. Narcissus rejected the advances of all women and chose to fall in love with his reflection in a pool of water, beating his chest purple at being kept apart from his reflected love.
That's exactly what it is.
Our audience is so smart here.
They really are.
So smart here. All right. Let's talk about the way hormonal birth control is apparently ruining society. You might think I was talking about something a little bit more serious, but in a lot of ways, this is one of the most ridiculous things that you could ever ever talk about. So there's this topic going around on X, which is, of course, where all the rational discussions happen on the internet. And basically what they're saying is that Henry Cavill is not attractive to women. He's actually somehow only attractive to men, and that he has what they call negative aura. Henry Cavill is more of a man's man. He actually isn't that attractive to most women. Timothée Chalamet outshines him as a sex symbol that appears to women. I think she meant appeals to women. Henry has the classic strong, tall, muscular, and reliable kind of vibe, but he lacks edginess, danger, and mystery. He's basically a Reddit nice guy in a jacked body and has a handsome face. Also, he's enthusiastic about stuff like building PCs and his Warhammer figurines. I find it cute personally, but to most women, it's negative aura. So what do you think? Is Henry Cavill truly the sex symbol that is Timothée Chalamet?
He is. And this is just the male. This is just the reverse argument of the Sabrina Carpenter versus Sydney Sweeney viral argument we saw going around a couple months ago or last month.
The one that was always phrased was, it was like, and it was also, and I probably hold the same is true for this one, is it's a weird type of Rorschach test where basically they're like, Sydney Sweeney is the type of girl where you could ask her out and she'd say no, but she wouldn't make you feel bad for asking. Whereas Sabrina Carpenter is kind of
like, ew.
Yeah. And I was like, first of all, you don't know Sydney Sweeney, so you don't know whether that's actually true or not. But I get the argument. You're talking in archetypes rather than that person individually.
Right. And it's like Sydney Sweeney looks like she might have a better sense of humor. She looks like a low maintenance beauty, even though I'm sure a lot of maintenance and time goes into her appearance. She's beautiful, obviously. Whereas Sabrina is like more appreciated by the gays and the girls.
What's the makeup, right? It's a lot of, it has to do with the stage makeup.
Because she does look very done up. And I think with Henry Cavill, he is like classic hot looking dude. And I like, not that Chalamet is not attractive. He is, what do some people call him? Like a weasel face.
Oh, no, that's called, what is it? Like, it's like rat handsome?
Boy.
Rat
yeah,
handsome?
like Rat Boy Summer or something.
That's like a whole archetype in Hollywood now.
Yeah.
Do you believe, so this is what you posted about it. We'll put it up on screen here. It says, women that are on hormonal birth control never ovulate, so they go their whole life going for soy boys and male feminists and don't see the big deal with Henry Cavill. It's like beer goggles for women.
Oh, yeah. And then, of course, I have people in my comments like, oh, I've been on hormonal birth control my whole life, and I like him, or I don't go for soy boys. It has a very real effect. Hormonal birth control has a very real effect on you. It tricks your body into thinking you are pregnant all the time, so you don't ovulate. And there's a lot of information out there about what kind of a guy you're attracted to when you're ovulating, or all types of, different places in your cycle versus like when you're not ovulating or when you like get pregnant. Like you are more like, oh, I want a guy that like won't leave. I want like a sweeter. There like have been studies about this. Like women are more attracted to like a sweeter, softer, nicer guy when they're either pregnant or not ovulating or whatever part of their cycle. And then because it's like the combination of like progesterone and estrogen or whatever, when women are like fertile and looking for somebody, you're gonna want to look for somebody with like who might be the best provider, the best protector. Yeah, and everyone, there's shades of gray all within that, right? And it doesn't mean you have to be a certain height or look. It could be an energy, it could be a personality thing. But like Henry just is the textbook kind of example of that. And to say like that Timothy Chalamet is edgier than him is, again, you'd have to know his personality.
Yeah, that's a terminally online take.
And that take, it's like it blew up like it did because it's like, oh, she's making it sound like she knows him, and it's kind of sad to be like, well, I know he's edgier, and I know that Henry Cavill is into Warhammer and building computers, and it's like, okay. Like they're both good looking, but one fits a certain stereotype, and the other one was in Dune with a bunch of sand in his face.
This is another one of those things that gets brought up a lot. Henry Cavill has become he's the example that men give when a woman says like she's looking for a nerd. They're like, when you say you want a nerd, what you mean is you want Henry Cavill with glasses, right? So there was this tweet that was going viral earlier. Yeah, it's at like 3 million. It's like, when he's nerdy, unintentionally funny, niche references type. When he's a nerdy, unintentionally funny, niche references type of guy. And somebody says, by nerdy, they mean conventionally attractive social men with glasses who occasionally play video games. And then the rest of them were all basically saying like, so you basically just mean Henry Cavill. Yeah, this one right here says that. By nerd, she means Henry Cavill with glasses. And by niche references, she means quotes from The Office.
Oh, God. Or if you like replace that with like quotes from Friends, like, ugh, the worst show in the world.
I can't. I've never sat through an entire episode of Friends. It's horrible.
Someone liking the show Friends is the biggest red flag.
Well, I mean, look, no, actually, I have a different take on that. So I appreciate the normiedom of the world, and I'll tell you why. So today, it was about 40 degrees out here in hail in the morning. Yesterday, it was 85, and I was thinking about the people who make the post. They're like, it was 80 yesterday and it's like 40 here. What the hell's going on? And when you're on X and you're terminally online and you're posting about politics, that type of stuff seems silly. But you know what? Those are the people that keep society running, okay? The people who like Friends are the ones running all of the the white collar jobs that are getting taken by AI.
I guess.
They're the normies that keep your internet connection.
Friends is like if Old Navy was a TV show.
Yes. I'm not personally a fan of Friends, but I appreciate the people. Maybe it's because I myself love what would be considered normie television shows. Okay. I do. That's my weakness is boomer procedurals that nobody in our sphere actually likes. I'm the only one.
Do you watch The Big Bang Theory?
No, okay. not comedies or what things that are supposed to pass for comedies.
What about Everybody Loves Raymond?
Not comedies. Mine is mostly like police procedurals or like medical dramas and stuff like that. But stuff that boomers
that's
like.
Fine.
Yeah. But the point is like that discussion is one, like this discussion here is extremely like terminally online. And Henry Cavill, and the point I was making the other day on the members only show was that Henry Cavill's popularity online doesn't necessarily translate to normies. Like, I don't know how popular he is amongst people that don't know what Warhammer is, at least in the concept of knowing people who know it.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that he played Superman.
Right.
So how does I think Timothy Chalamet just needs to grow a beard. That's all he needs to grow a beard.
That's true. And it's like his longer hair makes him look a little more effeminate. Like, I don't even know what his stats are. I don't even know, like, how much he weighs or, like, how built he is. He just seems, like, leaner and more feminine because he's got, the rat face and the long hair.
But that's all of them now. It's the Jacob Elordis. It's the Aaron Taylor Johnsons. They are maybe Aaron Taylor Johnson doesn't fit into that category anymore. But
now I have to look these people up.
It's a lot of them are they have the rat face. But also people have pointed out that pop stars have looked this way for decades.
True.
Like,
Very
it's
true.
actually
Pretty
like
boys.
you could make the case that maybe amongst actors it's different, but somebody even pointed out, they said, look, women loved Leonardo DiCaprio in Titanic, and he wasn't the husky Leonardo DiCaprio that he is now.
True. I liked him even better back then because it was before he was like such an obvious man whore.
I do believe that there is a certain part of the, first of all, like normal women wouldn't even understand the argument because they probably don't know that the hormonal birth control works that way.
Right, because if you don't know, if you've been on it your whole life, you literally do not know.
Yeah.
But there's so many stories out there of women who have gone off birth control and then they just are not attracted to their husbands anymore, or they're like just, it's a whole different ball game. So I'm for everybody getting off hormonal birth control. Like, just, you don't need it. Like,
I suppose you could make the argument that the women that find like that type of pretty boy attractive back in the day, the ones that loved the pop stars, maybe they grew out of it once they were adults, but they still liked them, but it just a product of liking them when they were younger.
That's
and they
true.
wouldn't they wouldn't like a new person that looked that way now.
and maybe the look of it is like, oh, this is someone that won't like break my heart. This is not like giving Chad vibes. This looks like a sweeter, softer.
They're still gonna break your heart.
Oh yeah.
They're just as big of a man whore as the rest of them.
And didn't Timothy Chalamet, he just had he was known for like just passing around a ton of STDs throughout Hollywood.
Is that true? He's dating.
I read that.
He's dating a Kardashian. So
yeah, he's dating
Kylie Jenner, right?
The makeup.
Or is it Kendall?
The makeup Kardashian. Yeah, Kylie.
Yeah, he's dating Kylie Jenner. I think that what he wanted more than anything was to stop being looked at as an art nerd, because that's how people saw him. He was kind of co-opted by people that thought he was an art nerd. Then suddenly he shows up on like college game day for football, and now he's getting in trouble for telling everybody what everybody already knew, which is that nobody cares about ballet anymore and nobody cares about the opera anymore. Like, that actually makes perfect sense to me, that he's dating a Kardashian because it gives him some type of street cred with normal people.
Oh yeah, he's just trying not to be pigeonholed as like a theater kid.
All of the comments on this, though, are agreeing that they think that this is hormonal birth control. I did find this one funny. From Raw Egg Nationalist, he says, never forget how Henry was judged the second most handsome man in the world after some dude from BTS.
What? That's a woman.
That's what it is. You can't pass for Hollywood beauty standards these days because he is a traditionally handsome dude. This guy says, are you aware that the birth control pill makes women more attracted to feminine men? And then this one says, I've seen people argue about some crazy things on this app, but debating whether this man is attractive or not has to be one of the craziest. This one says, Henry Cavill isn't attractive to women. And I'm sure there's more than a few people who would agree with that take. But I do think that for the most part, Timothy Chalamet is on his way up because he's also not apologizing. That's the thing we were talking about yesterday. It's cool that he's not apologizing to Hollywood for doing what everybody else knows to be, saying what everybody else knows to be true, rather than doing what they always want, which is for everybody to faux get along.
Yes.
Henry Cavill is one of those people where I don't even think of him as traditional Hollywood. Like, he works in Hollywood. That's, he's not making a ton of indie films. He's got a new Guy Ritchie movie coming out, but he just somehow feels separate. Maybe it's because he's British and it doesn't feel like he's somebody who lives in Hollywood, but rather stays over in the UK.
He seems like a slow and steady wins the race type guy. Like, he's chugging along, getting regular work. He's clearly like actually talented. And going back to Henry Cavill, I think all women find him attractive, but they convince themselves that he's not because he looks like the kind of guy that won't go for them. And we see that a lot on the opposite side too. Like, men will say like a very attractive woman, and I don't like her because it's like, because she looks like the kind of woman that would never go for you.
Or inaccessible in a way. Like,
yes.
That's one that I've pointed out, Leslie. It's not even that they don't necessarily find them attractive. It's that if you wear a lot of makeup, and I'm not talking about like, and we'll actually get into it a little bit in the Margot Robbie topic about whether men can actually spot when women are not wearing makeup or not. That's not really the point. But if you're wearing expensive clothes, if you wear expensive jewelry, if your hair looks like it costs a lot of money to upkeep, and you've got clothes on and you're wearing a ton of makeup, it signals signals to them that you may have shallow interests, even if it's not true. It's not necessarily true of everybody that just because they wear nice clothes and they like to wear makeup that they're shallow people. But first impressions do matter, and people like to pretend that they don't.
Right. People see, you get an overall sense of a maintenance of a person.
Yeah, and that's it sucks because that you might like write somebody off who might actually be a really, really down-to-earth person who just happens to, especially if they're, if they have a good job and they're paying for it themselves, cost is relative depending on what they do for a living. But it is true that we make first impressions on people, and sometimes it's hard to escape that box. But that is a way that men write certain women off. And like you said, a woman could do the same thing for Henry Cavill because maybe he doesn't look like he would be interested in that type of woman.
Yeah, or he looks like the high school quarterback who never looked at her, or someone who broke their heart. And
so you think it could actually signal that he might be like a player?
Oh, yes, because and even, I mean, both Chalamet and Henry Cavill look like they could be players because once you're good looking, it's like, yeah, you can be a player if you want. So it's, I guess maybe Chalamet seems more accessible, less like a player because he's still handsome, but not like knock you unconscious on handsome.
And let's face it, none of that actually matters in that sphere because they have something that changes everything, and that's money, which means that the Timothy Chalamets of the world that work regular jobs do not garner the same interest as the Timothy Chalamets of the world that are millionaires that work in Hollywood.
Right. Just like there are guys who look like Henry Cavill who have blue collar jobs who, I mean, that's like the jackpot.
This is a good one too. I just thought I'd add this to the end here. Henry Cavill is definitely ruled out playing James Bond. I'm so sorry to all of the people who wanted him to play James Bond. He was never my pick for James Bond personally. He'd have to lose too much muscle mass to do that because James Bond isn't supposed to look super jacked. But he has not ruled out playing a villain, and he could do that because he did play a villain in a Mission Impossible movie. So maybe you bring him on as a villain for the next James Bond movie that they do through Amazon. I think that would work.
A shirtless villain.
That's his thing. He's an evil personal trainer.
He's an evil underwear model.
That's No, that's what it is. He's like, what it is he's a personal trainer spy who steals data from rich clients who he trains. And for some reason, he is conspicuously shirtless the entire time.
This could be a Danielle Steele novel.
All right, guys, let's move on. Let's talk about Hollywood's latest push for diversity. As you all know, 2020 is now many, many years past, but it seems like that era of Hollywood will never remove its hold over the culture, at least not without a fight in a lot of ways.
Did you say remove its hold?
Well, no. They can do that, but I don't think the doctor would approve if they were to do that. The point being, ladies and gentlemen, that every year UCLA and the Annenberg Inclusion Initiative, they run these studies where they find out how much diversity there is in Hollywood. I'll let you in on a little secret. The answer is always not enough. And they run studies that tell you that what audiences want more than anything is more diversity. And this is what some of the baseline bullet points of this most recent survey from UCLA are saying. They're saying that movies with a 41 to 50% BIPOC casting posted the strongest box office returns across multiple metrics. BIPOC moviegoer, by the way, if you don't know what that means, it's Black, Indigenous, people of color. If you were... Thank you!
I thought you were saying BIPOC. Purchase a person of color.
No, I'm glad. By the way, thank you for doing the dancing. I make sure I keep notes on who chooses to dance and who doesn't.
You have to. Yep. How can there be blinking lights and just not move? No movement.
Someday I want to learn. I want to find a way to like get the guests' lights on their end, or I'll do some type of graphics so that you get lights on that end too. Okay.
I have spotlights. I should have set them up.
Should have done that. All right. So here's what it is. So again, BIPOC is Black, Indigenous, people of color. That's the way that they kind of sector everything off. So it's everybody and then white dudes. is basically what it is. The moviegoers bought the majority of opening weekend tickets for 11 of top 20 movies in 2025. Sci-fi films led global earnings. That doesn't surprise me at all. One of the things I've always said, and you're kind of suffering through it right now, having to watch Starfleet Academy, which is that for the most part, the genres of movies that I love, they can escape wokeness to a certain extent, or the genres of television shows that I love, because they're not seen as a cultural inflection point. So I love what is called dad TV. It shows like Reacher or The Terminal List. It's the dude who's hyper masculine, hyper competent, really good at what he does. He kills a bunch of bad guys and he saves the day. They don't really necessarily always kind of try to hone in on that because the male audience isn't what they're looking for. Right. They're looking to get literally everybody else. So the place where you get that is sci-fi. And that's how you end up with Starfleet Academy.
But wouldn't you say that the typical Star Trek or even Star Wars audience are dads and like white men? Yeah,
but they've tried to make that switch for ages, right? That's why Kathleen Kennedy does The Force as female. Right. It's because they want to find. That's kind of one of the crazy things that has always been true in capitalist industries, and I do think this ends up hurting some of these companies. You're never making enough money. Like whole divisions of companies get canned for not making enough profit. Like you can make money and not make a company enough money, right? Mm-hmm. So in Hollywood, one of the ways that you do that is you look for what they call the new audience. They're looking for new viewers. You can't rest on just the middle-aged white dudes. You need to branch out and find other people if you want to grow your business. Thus, you end up in that kind of catch-22 where you want to appeal to a whole new audience, but you want to keep the old audience, and they run headlong into each other.
Right, and you can't have Starfleet Academy that's going to appeal to the original audience. You are literally, and this happens every time, it's like you are trading the old audience for a new audience, which isn't even guaranteed because the audience they're going for in Starfleet Academy it's like the tweens and teens who are watching Euphoria and those kinds of shows, like CW type shows even, or like the Dawson's Creek, right? Our time.
I love those shows from when I was a kid. Like
but that's who they're trying to. That's who they're trying to capture, and in their efforts to do that, they've turned Star Trek like into just a completely new show. That's
were you a Star Trek fan beforehand?
No, this is all just like from everything I've heard, and
so they've ruined it for you.
Yeah.
I'm not a Star Trek fan, and I often say the most. I say I feel the worst for the Star Trek fans and the Star Wars fans. Mm-hmm. As someone where, look, I watched the genres that I love get decimated in the 2020s. They ruined a lot of those shows. It was particularly worse sometimes because they were shows that were still on the air, so you could actually watch things change in real time. Whereas Star Wars, you had decades without like live action stuff before they brought it back for the sequel trilogy. Obviously, you had expanded universe stuff, you had animated shows, you had comics and stuff. But for the Star Wars fans and the Star Trek fans, they've watched it get destroyed little by little.
Over their lifetimes,
Here are some of the other observations that they made. The highest median global box office, they're saying this is what performs best financially. Films that were cast that are 41 to 50% BIPOC, which means non-white actors, did the best overall in 2025. This bracket topped several key money metrics. Here they are. Highest median global box office receipts, which means the total worldwide earnings. Highest median domestic box office. Highest median return on investment, meaning you make the most for the least amount of money. That's horror movies in general. The horror genre is the largest return on investment because they don't cost a lot to make, and horror as a genre has a very dedicated fan base. These were the movies released in the most theaters. That doesn't prove anything. That just proves that the companies that made the movies had the most pull with the theaters. Mm-hmm. Highest average opening weekend rank. So I was curious. I was like, what were the top 10 movies of the year last year? So we had a Minecraft movie. I suppose, does Jason Momoa count as the star? Because I always thought of Jack Black as the star of that movie.
Jack Black is the star, but again, like I think any movie about Minecraft was gonna,
correct.
I don't know, was gonna do pretty well. Just like the Super Mario movie did well. It's a whole huge new audience of people.
Lilo and Stitch did well. Again, not for diversity's sake, but because people really liked the franchise beforehand. Superman was number 3. This is, by the way, this is the domestic box office, guys. Jurassic World Rebirth, which was Scarlett Johansson and something Bailey. I can never remember that guy's first name.
Yeah.
Josh Bailey? Somebody in the channel know. I'm horrible at my job. Zootopia 2. That's animated, so it's not really the same thing. Wicked, which was Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande. And to be fair, Ariana Grande could be a different race or ethnicity depending on whatever day.
Bailey.
Jonathan Bailey. I think it's a Josh. So,
okay.
Jonathan Bailey. Wicked, which is Ariana Grande, which could be a different race or gender, or a different race or ethnicity depending on what day it is. But also Cynthia Erivo. Sinners, which was, of course, Michael B. Jordan. Fantastic Four, which was Pedro Pascal. And then How to Train Your Dragon and Avatar. So a good amount of them were, I guess, what you would call diverse films in a lot of ways. So that doesn't necessarily mean anything. They're just movies that people liked. The only one of those that I really feel became a topic about diversity was Sinners, because it kind of broke down into a discussion because people were calling Variety, the publication, racist for how they framed their stories on it. And now that's become a whole story going into the Oscars of like one battle after another versus Sinners, like racial politics versus wealth politics and stuff like that.
Plus, they paid that guy to yell out the N-word during the.
Did you cover that? Did you guys talk about that on Simcast or anything?
A little bit, yeah.
That was a whole thing, right? So look, you look at all of this, and I want you to not panic, because what I saw was a lot of people saying like, oh look, they're going to use this as like an excuse to start shoehorning diversity in. I would argue that they didn't ever stop putting diversity in their movies in anything like that. You just have to want them to actually make movies that people want to see.
Yeah, and it's like, would a certain amount of people have seen those movies anyway? It's like that's just what was out there. And right, it is tricky because we don't have a version of 2025 or whatever year that was, where people could make whatever kinds of movies they wanted without any kind of DEI requirements whatsoever.
And that's hard nowadays too, because there are DEI requirements to win Oscars and to win awards. They usually end up finding ways around that with like diversity in the producing.
Sound guy was a Native American. We're good.
Yeah. Well, they're on from what I read, they're on the 3rd composer for the Supergirl movie that's coming out.
Oh.
Like they can't hold anybody down. Are there any movies? Because you're going to have to watch a bunch of movies this year for Friday Night Tides. Yeah. Are there any ones you're looking forward to?
I am looking forward to the new Dune. I think that does come out in the summer.
It comes out at the same time as like a Marvel, I think, for Doomsday or Spider-Man.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Of course, I'm like excited for the new Marvel movie, just because you're like, oh, what are they gonna do? Let's see.
Dune 3
How
release
bad could
date.
It be?
I'm gonna see what the Dune 3 release date is. December 18th. So that would have been for Avengers. So it's gonna come out at the same. So you're gonna have to work double duty that weekend. I bet they're gonna make you see both of them.
Yeah, that's gonna be busy.
I watch a lot of television. Here's the point I was making. I was watching an episode of a show that I really like called High Potential. And it is absolutely what plenty on the right would call woke, I guess. Meaning that it's got a strong and empowered female lead character played by Caitlin Olsen. But here's the thing. Most of the time, the show hints and points to aspects of feminism, but it keeps the focus on the crime of the week or whatever the story is. There's side characters where they put all of the social messaging. The captain of the police department that she works for is a Hispanic woman, and then she has a black detective that works with her. And when it's just the regular topics in the episode, both of the actors are great, and the show is great. But they almost handicap them by forcing those topics to be about their characters. And I think this week, International Women's Day was like some day this week.
Yes.
Okay, they clearly made the episode this week in mind with International Women's Day, because it's literally the whole episode is about this side character and how she's been held back because because she's black, and how she didn't want to take the sergeant's exam because she saw how hard it was for the current sergeant to get ahead, because the men were constantly keeping her down and not helping her, and they didn't want to see a woman of color succeed. And it was like I was watching something that had been transported from 2020, right? That stuff isn't going away. The best thing you can hope for is that they will sector it off into like specific episodes for these shows. And from what I understand, that's actually a phenomenon in the industry. Other people that like shows similar to me said like every one of these shows has a couple episodes a year where they basically pay lip service to the stuff that was everything in 2020. So in 2020, every episode was about that. Now they try to put it all into a couple of episodes. But when it comes to the movies, all of those movies in the top 10, I don't think people were talking about in the context of wokeness. You can make that comment about Superman, I guess, but I liked Superman. Yeah. Like, it's just, I think it's one of those things where people are worried that studies like this one are going to make it that they're going to start to make Hollywood super 2020 again. I don't think that's going to happen because they do these surveys and tests every year and they try to use it to bully the studios, but the studios are done wanting to lose money.
Right, because it comes down to the story, the writing, the plot, and if all those things suffer at the hand of a woke agenda, then it doesn't matter who you have cast in what role.
It's sad because I actually point out to people all the time. I said, like, I will watch for the most part the wokest show in the world as long as it's actually put within the context. Like if the characters are like that to begin with, I'll probably just turn it off. But for the most part, I can watch shows and that depends on a person's definition of what that word means. A character that is a woman who is really great at her job and is the lead of the show, that doesn't bother me. Sure. It's
I know, like before pre-DEI, that just existed, and now we have to be like skeptical of every like competent woman.
Well, so they were saying, I got into it with somebody about the show that I was watching called High Potential. I said, it doesn't matter to me because the dude who's also in the show is not portrayed as a dummy or stupid. Right. He has his own skill set that they highlight as well. And in like a recent episode, there's a scene where they're trapped in a room and they think that poison is being pumped in, and the lead woman is starting to freak out. It's played by Caitlin Olsen. It's great. And she's freaking out and she's losing her cool, and the dude keeps her calm and gets them out of the situation. I said, if I can't accept that she can have all her moments, then why does he get his, right? It's fine as long as it's balanced between all of the characters. But like I said, the episode that I watched yesterday, it was like it was written by somebody completely different. Somebody who'd never written a TV show before in their life. But as long as surveys like this exist, you're going to see people in the industry try to use it to leverage new positions in Hollywood.
Of course, and if that's your prerogative and you're like whatever, you have some sort of like race hustling position in film and television, you're gonna be like, well, look at this. Like you'll gobble that up as something to point to.
The other worst thing about this episode, and it was kind of hard to put into words. So she has one of the plot lines of the show is that she's looking for her ex, like her daughter's like father. He disappeared and she can't find him. It's not even she has a son with a guy that she's not with anymore, and he is very nice.
Called a baby dad.
Yes, he's very nice, but ineffectual. He's about as safe as you can make a character. That's the wokest stuff in the show. And then the father of her daughter is missing, and her daughter is mixed. Her daughter is mixed race because her dad is Hispanic. And at some point, they do a plot line in this episode where she says that there's people in my class that are saying I only got into this arts program because of my race. And instead of trying to instill value in her daughter that you can't worry about what people say, you know that you got in there based on merit. I don't think they ever actually address whether there was like some type of DEI program, but that's not the point. She actually like pawns off discussing about it with like the black detective in the department, because she's like, look, I can't speak to it because I'm not mixed race. I'm not black, so I can't have a say in how you're feeling right now, which is not a mother's job. It's not a father's job. It's to instill the values in your children to help them deal with whatever they come into in life. And I was like, who wrote this shit? The rest of the show is great, and this is garbage.
It was written by a pretentious white lady or white person who's like, who's instilling their own white fragility bullshit and allyship into these characters. Like, oh, white people shouldn't speak on black issues or mixed issues because you don't know. But it's like a mother would get themselves involved in their child's life, and there's no issue they wouldn't be able to handle.
All right, let's talk about Margot Robbie. So we got into it a little bit with Henry Cavill, with the gentleman. Let's talk about Margot Robbie, because now people are saying that the Hollywood beauty standards that they place on women, it's causing atrocities, mass atrocities in Hollywood. The beautiful women are disappearing left and right, and this was coming up because there is this picture of Margot Robbie, and I do think that this is a little bit unfair because they used one of her smiling and one of her with a blank facial expression, which your face looks completely different when you're smiling versus what you look like without it. But basically, this was the before photo, and then this is the after photo, and they're like, oh my gosh, she had her buccal fat, the buccal fat removed, and somebody pointed this, they're like, she just looks dead inside. Do you think do you think it's buccal fat?
It's, who knows?
Or Ozempic?
I don't think so. I think as you age, your face naturally kind of like hollows out a little bit and does become a little bit more defined, especially like with white women. Like we tend to lose fat like through here, which is why like white women will get filler and like in this sort of like area. But to me, this is like, she's smiling. It's different makeup. It's different hair. It's different lighting. So it's hard to tell like what procedures she's had done.
Also the hair, the short bob.
Yeah, she looks sort of damp in that second photo.
Yeah, like at the height of like when Hollywood was really getting into all of this stuff, I actually got really annoyed when Avengers: Infinity War came out and they gave Scarlett Johansson like a blonde bob. And I was like, why would you do that?
Sense.
Like, why would you do that? Do you think that Hollywood in the buccal fat is a trend, or do you think it goes away eventually?
Oh, I mean, there's always so much work that's happening.
Because trends come and go, right? Like amongst various types of, not even necessarily being skinny, but in general, like they talk about how the heroin chic of the 90s gave way to the Kardashian look of the early 2000s and 2010s.
Yeah, because it went from, I mean, the Kardashians were just so huge, and they kind of put like, curviness over just thinness on the map. But then it was a slippery slope into like, okay, well, fat women are curvy too, and if I just move my fat around and get a corset on or use shapewear, it's like, oh, you can push your fat into the right places. But now I think like genuine fitness is coming back, or at least the fitness look because of Ozempic. And exactly, this woman from
Aaron from The Boys.
The Boys. Again, this could be just she's had a little bit of filler and Botox and plus that those photos might be like 8 years apart or something.
Well, that was the point they're making. They're like, why would you do that to your face? She claimed that she didn't do anything to her face.
Thinner too. She could just have lost weight, and like that's gonna come out of your face.
Do you think people, for the most part, tend to misjudge when people have or haven't lost weight, well, especially with women, because makeup plays such a big part in their traditional appearance?
Well, yeah,
because even things like focal length of camera changes what you look like in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, like it's hard to hide your weight, I think, if you're like a professional broadcaster. But if you're just like a chick on TikTok or Instagram, like, yeah, you can filter everything you've ever done, and no one can know what you actually look like.
Did you see? I think I saw you covered a video. It's something that we never end up getting to on the channel, of like the beauty influencer who's like her filter came off and you saw her regular face.
Yeah. That's so crazy. Like she was doing a live stream, and she had absolutely no makeup on her regular face, and it went from like pretty woman to like the filter goes off and it's like And everyone was like, holy shit, it looks like a completely different person.
Was that like an American lady, though? Was that like
She looked some kind of Asian.
I know that, but like, was she from America, or was she...
No, I think her filter was like Chinese, but she looked like Thai or Filipino or like Honduran or something.
So is it one of those like 24-hour live streams where they just sit there and they like just show 10,000 different products?
Dancing. She was like moving around. And like her Chinese filter made her face look like a fourth, like 3/4 the size of what it really was. It
Yeah,
like
shrunk
made everything
it down.
so small.
Yeah. And if you're Margot Robbie and you have this photo, it really does just look like it feels like a deer in headlights.
It's so hard to know. Like I don't know. Although I'm sure if you had on here like someone who does injections or like a plastic surgeon, they could tell you exactly what was done. But again, like aging, losing weight, and other stuff like less invasive stuff like Botox and fillers that will wear away. Well, some people say that fillers never wear away. They like just move into different parts of your face.
Yeah, well, yeah, it migrates and
Yeah.
moves through the skin and stuff like that. Also, have you seen those stories about the women who get like infections from breast implants because like bacteria grows in the implants? Like
wow.
new fear unlocked. This one here says
Why
she
do you
looks
have
the
implants,
same.
Brett?
Yes, I do. This one says she looks the same when she smiles. So, I mean, she does look noticeably thinner, but that's the rough part for being a woman in Hollywood is you're going to be judged that way all the time.
That's the thing is that you have to be skinny, but then being skinny does take a bit out of your face. So
yeah. I mean, I think the injections and stuff is bad just because it makes it impossible for people to emote on screen. Somebody left a comment on one of my videos or on one of my X posts recently where they said, I love this character in this show because they look like the only person in Hollywood who hasn't had plastic surgery. So when they actually emote, I can actually see their face making facial expressions. And the fact that that's rare now is kind of depressing and sad.
that is sad. And then there's been studies done that like if you get a certain amount of Botox, it actually affects your empathy. Like it affects your ability, like over time, the muscles being deadened. Like that's all it is. It's like
wait, so it's like that old wives' tale where like if you're not happy, you should smile and you'll trick your brain into smiling, but only in reverse.
It's like the muscles are deadened. Like it keeps this from wrinkling because this is all dead. It wears off, and you got to get it done every like whatever 4 months or something. But over time, they say like if your muscles just don't move. Right, there's some kind of connection between your empathy and the muscles moving.
That actually makes sense to me in a weird way, where it's like maybe part of why maybe it's not just like the chemicals in antidepressants that end up making people kind of like zombies. It's like you're also you've turned yourself into like emotion neutral and you're not emoting at all in a way like if your face isn't emoting, why would the rest of you?
And plus, who knows what other like pharmaceuticals people are on that's contributing to this too.
I mean, that's a huge part of it, right? Is like most of the people, like when you look at these people in Hollywood, you can't know for sure. Like I'm sure there's some of them there who are their body is a temple and they live, you know, very, very cleanly. But you have to imagine that a lot of them are on antidepressants. They're on mood stabilizers. They're on like Xanax. Like, you know, how big was Xanax in Hollywood for such a long time? Take the uppers in the morning and the downers in the evening and stuff like that. Like there's a reason why it's a trope when celebrities die young because of drug overdoses.
Yeah, it's so sad because a lot of them were like molested and abused because that's how they were able to get to where they are. And God, like Justin Bieber is so messed up over it, and like obviously Britney Spears and like
she might
the
be
Corys.
Britney Spears might be the most like the weirdest example lately where it actually feels more like it's happening in real time. Justin Bieber has since like he's gotten married and he's weird still and he has his moments, but for the most part he's married, right? He's established a connection with another human being and they're together and they're raising a child together. So you would hope that they're living well. But for Britney Spears, all you can imagine is she's just alone on a hill in this huge mansion recording videos on her phone that looks like it's like an iPhone 8.
Yeah, I don't think her sons like see her.
No, so that's
anymore.
actually turned around. So she's seeing them since they turned 18. They've started to see her more. And after her incident last week, where she got arrested driving, like going on a high-speed chase with the cops, she's seeing her kids. So we got a $20 super chat here from Pop Culture Junkie. Says, having shot tons of headshots, I can definitely tell you that focal length can make a lot of difference. Ideal lens for a 35mm camera for a headshot used to be 105mm. A 28mm lens up close gets the squirrel cheeks effect.
Oh, interesting. I didn't
I
know that.
posted at one point. So last year I lost about 25 pounds, and I posted like a side by side of like stills from, because we take the screenshot right before we go live. I posted like a still from at its worst to like now, and somebody's like, it's just the focal length, and I'm like, okay, fair criticism, but you're wrong. Like, don't take away my valor for cutting out 25 pounds.
Yeah. Like, I guess I have to do a pants photo.
That's next, the thing where you stretch out the waistband.
Yeah.
Like
Look
Jenny
at this
Craig.
focal length. Look at this. You happy now?
Like Jenny Craig. And now
Yeah.
none of that stuff works because, like, what was it? Oprah was like the head of Weight Watchers for like 20 years, and then she got Ozempic, and now she's just like, I can't do it anymore.
She's like, no, she's been the most eating disordered celebrity in our lifetime. No one's been more up and down than her. And like, yeah, she's clearly on Ozempic now.
Do you think that, okay, this is an interesting one because you're a comedian, so let's try this. Male comedians, they're especially if we're talking about not necessarily stand-up, but we're talking like male comedic actors that are larger, like a Kevin James, or who's another example of one that I'm thinking of?
He's dead now, but like Chris Farley.
But like Chris Farley, right? So,
yeah.
It was always just kind of accepted that was part of their gimmick. And then when when you got the Melissa McCarthy's that also leaned into it, it's weird because the women were treated the way the men were, which is that, was it Rebel Wilson couldn't lose weight while making certain movies because she signed a contract and she needed to look that way for the role.
People got upset when she finally lost weight.
Exactly.
That's always turn on you. They turned on Adele. They turned on like Jennifer Hudson. They turned on
there was a couple of others. They did
Kelly Clarkson.
Rebel Wilson, Kelly Clarkson. There's been a couple of others too.
Yeah.
In general, Lizzo lost some fans when she started losing weight and stuff like that. Do you think it's harder for female comedians who made it as like a larger, as a bigger female comedian because now they expect them to lose weight?
I can't think of any like female comedians who made it as fatties and then lost weight.
Rebel Wilson would have been the only one.
Okay, yeah, like comedic actor. Yeah.
Yeah, I meant comedic actor.
She's so like famous and like she's reached a level of success where like, okay, yeah, you get a little bit of pushback, but like, girl, you still made it. Like, you still are doing good.
It's like, what happens when you Google fat female comedic actors? Okay. Melissa McCarthy is the first name that comes up. That and Rebel Wilson. The rest of them are they put Octavia Spencer on here. The rest of them are not names that I am like. I don't think of Queen Latifah as a comedic actor.
No, nobody does.
Leave Queen Latifah alone. Okay, she gets a pass. I like.
Yeah, I think of. Melissa McCarthy gets plenty of work. Like that would be stupid of her to lose weight because like who else?
But that's scary too. Then now you're like, what if your doctor's like, look, your knees are gonna go young. You're gonna have to like, your heart's gonna give out. And she's like, yeah, but I'm making so much money.
I think you can be overweight to a point where like you're not like Hollywood thin. You're just maybe like a regular woman, like a size 10, 12, 14 or something, and that would have to be considered fat. You know what I mean? Like I think you could still be bigger. I think you're either like a size 0, a size 2, or you have to be what's considered fat would just be like, I don't know, a size 10 or 12.
There have been some examples of like the people that were considered comedically overweight back in the day, and it's just like normal now, right? Like they were.
Oh, for sure, yeah. It used to be. Yeah, there only used to be like a couple fat people.
Jonah Hill lost all the weight.
Oh yeah, that did not work for him either. Like I think when he went skinny, it was like, ugh, who even are you now?
They said the same thing about Jelly Roll. They said he looked better when he was fatter, and plus your
so
name
did
is
Al
Jelly
Roker.
Roll.
Al Roker just became like a weird light bulb head man. Like he looked very odd thin.
Were you a fan of Ralphie May?
Yeah, I liked him.
Like that was always going to end tragically. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know, Ralphie May was actually really, really funny, but he was huge. But he worked it into his routine.
He worked his death into his routine.
Well, that's Jonah Hill is the worst though, because he's like his was attached to the really what I feel is like that really pretentious desire to like want to do more serious roles.
No,
therefore you have to lose the weight to do the serious
fair
roles.
weather fat, and that's the worst kind.
You have to either do it all the way or kind of
You're
walk
not
it back.
gonna go from Jonah Hill like portly sidekick to like Timothy Chalamet if you lose weight. Like that's not.
Well, your skin, it won't work for your skin. You'll have the
deflated.
rolls. All right, guys, let's go to super chats. Let's see what you guys have to say here. And what you should be doing right now is you should be super chatting compliments to Chrissie because she is here. Therefore, you should be complimenting her. This one from Shane H. Wilder. Happy Thursday, Brett and Chrissie. Chrissie, glad to hear you are in OCIA. What is that?
Yes, it's I'm converting to Catholicism. It's been like a year-long process. I was born and raised Methodist and like got married in a Catholic church, baptized my baby in a Catholic church, and I've always for like the last couple years been really interested in like deepening my faith and like getting closer with God. And I just was like, I like that there's so many hoops to jump through in the Catholic faith. Like, and it's comparing it to how I was raised, like Protestant. It's just. And it's really like it's what was missing, and you just learn more, and the more you learn, it becomes more interesting, and you do feel more connected, and you see it more as like a kind of guidance for your life. Like now I see like becoming more religious as like just a sort of divine guidance towards who you're supposed to be, rather than like I have to be this cringy real religious person. Do you know what I mean? Like,
does it add more purpose?
Oh, it does. Yeah, and it's like it's kind of like a weight. Like the practice of prayer, it's like it can gradually like it takes a lot of weight off your shoulders. Like one of the prayers I'll do now is like, you know, like God, like take away or remove from my path anything that is not meant for me today, or that is not like in your purpose. I'm not like saying it eloquently, but it's almost like it's like the practice of prayer is like it's helping you really like guide you through your life. And if you can take a lot of your worry off, and again, it's like it takes practice, but like sort of giving that worry over to God, it's like you do like live a bit lighter and happier, and you're grateful for more. And so I'll get confirmed, and so I was baptized as a Methodist, so but there's a guy in my class who was never baptized, so he's going to do all three: baptism, communion, confirmation. I think the rest of us are just doing like communion, confirmation. And that's happening on April 4th, right before Easter. So I don't know what happens then.
Was there a moment?
Then I can get the cracker.
Yeah, there you go. I was raised Catholic. I went through communion. I never finished confirmation, as happens. I always tell the joke where like, a lot of times we were Sunday Catholic, like holiday Catholics at best. And we started going to church more after my parents divorced or separated. I was like, wait, you guys get divorced and I have to get up early for church? What the hell did I do wrong?
It's interesting because like, after my dad was murdered, like that was part of the reason why I wanted to deepen my faith, because it's just sometimes traumatic events, like you search for that guidance,
That's an amazing process to go through, I'm sure. And especially with, now with like a family, like the whole new family that you're building.
Oh yeah. And yeah, for sure. We want to I've taken the baby a couple times, and then he like gets sassy, and you have to go to like the quiet room, and I have to get like a coloring here. I take the crayons out, like here, color in this cross, coloring like this cartoon Jesus. Like, I don't know. I have to get like activities.
Look, I have as somebody who is not religious, as you guys know, as an agnostic, I laugh because I was telling Mary yesterday, I don't know if anybody here is old enough to remember what the Parents Television Council was. Basically every cool thing that you liked watching in the 90s, the 2000s that was kind of edgy was protested by the Parents Television Council. And Mary's like, sweet. I feel like it's something you'd want to join even if you're not yet a parent. She's like, can I sign up? I'm like, I don't even know if it still exists. But the point is like the things that were considered, part of the mainstream culture in the 90s are now countercultural in a lot of ways. So you see the resonance that it has with people now. Plus, I was reading this graph earlier on X that said people who, conservative families that go to church on a weekly basis are far less likely to have even one mental illness as opposed to their liberal atheist counterparts. Yes. Oh, he finished that by saying, remember, we are a very fun people, and we always have wine. There you go. Shane adds, is there something in the tech water? I've been dealing with tech issues all day too. The printer scene from Office Space is my spirit animal. I'd play it right now, but the song would get us copyrighted.
I love that so much. I love the way he like kicks the printer with his heel. I do that like really every couple of months. I'll kick something like that. But I love they take it out, the printer out into a field, and they just beat the crap out of it.
I feel like I was talking to someone earlier about how that generation of movies. So, it was that movie. It was Office Space. It was Fight Club, and a couple
Napoleon
of others.
Dynamite.
The whole point was to basically show your disdain and your desire to escape corporate culture, like your life is a corporate drone. And the reason you can't make those movies now is because all those jobs are going to AI and there's no job security anymore. And now people like a Zoomer would watch that movie and be like, oh my God, a 9 to 5 with a 1 hour lunch break and a 401k. Your life must be so difficult. Like the struggles of the early 2000s are not the struggles of society right now.
Right.
Like, it's like the movie Wanted, where he's an office drone and finds out that he's like a descendant of a group of assassins. It's like you were looking for some type of excitement in your life. Well, now the excitement is like, I can't afford rent and I'll never own a home. I'm gonna dine out on a huge cup of fear.
Yeah.
So, Corey Anderson says, Chrissie, how is the baby?
Oh, he's good. He didn't wake up as early as he should have, so then he took a very late nap, so bedtime's probably going to be awful, but he's doing great. He's going to be 2 next month. He's basically been teething like nonstop since 4 months old, but it's fun. It's worth it. I recommend everybody have babies.
There you go. All right, Corey Anderson gifted 5 memberships, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Corey. As well did, let me see if I saw this here, Cookie Don gifted 1 membership. Thank you guys so much. Also, remember, if we get to 20 gifted memberships, that does count as a crisis party. So it's not just through super chats. We can get a crisis
use
party.
Another party.
Yep, we could use another. That's why I said get Chrissie another party. I said send her compliments, get her another party.
Get me a party. All
right. Shane H. Wilder says, the issue is when either side forces agenda for jokes. It falls flat. Just make a movie. I watch them to get away from the agendas. Just make a movie to make a movie. I watch them to get away from agendas. Yes, anti-woke humor is oftentimes just as cringy in movie form as actual woke humor. All right. Red Snow 430 says, is Miss Chicken Fry the best chicken fry out of BK? I don't know. She's the lady who dated Zach Bryan and tried to she gave up like a multi-million-dollar payout so that she could talk shit about him in a podcast, and it ended up being like a nothing burger that nobody. She basically is like he was mean.
Oh wow! Mean.
Yeah. Shane H. Wilder says all these isms are giving me the autism. Yeah, I feel you, bro. Corey Anderson says you can't see breasticles if you are blind.
That's true.
That is true.
That's one reason to stop taking Ozempic.
All right. Shane H. Wilder says Mark McGwire out for crying because we all know there is no crying in baseball. That is true. Greg Dubier says there's a video of him unable to bench 135. Yes, that is true of clavicular.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Dingus Khan of Gongolia says it finally happened. The Hooters in the Mall of America has closed.
No!
As somebody who grew up in Minnesota and went to the Mall of America a lot, I never set foot in there. When did it open? I wonder when that one opened specifically. I didn't often
do my sad sound effect.
Do it.
Oh, here we go.
sad. And yes, I am sure that dads in Minnesota everywhere are pissed.
It's not fair to them. It really isn't.
Shane H. Wilder says, I've never seen Friends, and I am thankful for that. I don't blame you. I've never, like I said, but like most of those shows have never interested me.
Mm-hmm.
Easy-E, back from the grave, says, as a nerd, by which I mean I do chemistry and calculus for my job, I can confirm women didn't like nerds until they started coming with muscles. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I mean, you know what? I'm going to tell you the converse version of this. Anybody here who has ever seen the underrated James Bond movie, The World Is Not Enough, knows that Denise Richards does not look like your traditional nuclear physicist. Nuclear physicists don't look like Denise Richards, right after the movie Wild Things came out. Sorry. They're not made. They don't look like Lara Croft Tomb Raider. It's just not the way things are.
Yeah.
Drewish AF says, my ceiling bird was chirping, so I handed the 9-volt battery to my black roommate to show him they can be changed out. Rude. Very rude. Brian Bledsoe says, speaking on Big Bang Theory, I own only 3 TV shows, John Adams miniseries, Smallville, and Big Bang Theory.
Oh.
Well, I can't speak to the Big Bang Theory because I would never watch it, but I do like Smallville.
Ugh. You're so typical.
Shane H. You probably go to Comic-Con. Shane H. Wilder says, BIPOC? Sure, I'll buy a copy of All Eyes on Me. All Eyes on Me was the best Tupac album. That's my personal preference. But much like James Bond, it's the one you grew up with, and that is the first one that... I didn't even own it. I stole it from my brother's room whenever I wanted to listen to it. Corey Anderson says, Vera Dark is streaming Ex Voto tonight at 7 p.m. Come watch and talk shit about it. It will be fun for all. Yes, you guys should go follow Vera Dark on Instagram. She is great. Or on Instagram. On YouTube. She's great. And her streams do big numbers. So you guys should go and follow her. Shane H. Wilder says, Brett doesn't have implants, but he's getting the leg lengthening surgery. Bro, you know me. Like I said, do you know how depressing it would be to get the leg lengthening surgery just to be the same height as like all the other dudes? Because I would just then... It
just doesn't seem worth it. The cons don't seem worth the pros.
I mean, it speaks to like a certain level of insecurity that you have, right? Like that doesn't go away just because you got the surgery.
Yeah. Corey
Anderson says, is it me or is Corey Feldman slowly starting to look like Michael Jackson? Yeah. You know what it is? It's that their faces have weathered the same way. And it's the same paleness. Dingus Khan of Gongolia says, I absolutely agree. I was raised Lutheran, but a little over a year ago, I started using the Hallow and Ascension app. I definitely like to convert.
Yeah, I have the Ascension app. I don't have Hallow. I might check that out.
That's the one everybody's heard of, I thought, though.
Yeah, Gwen Stefani's promoting that.
I saw you did a video on that.
A few others. Her story is so inspiring. I didn't realize that. Like, I thought, because she was in this kind of Gen X era, like that she avoided any cancellation. It's like, no, people were trying to cancel her for having Japanese backup dancers, for her like braids, all her like ethnic hairdos. They said she was trying to cultural appropriate. She never apologized once. And I love that she got pregnant again at 44.
Yeah.
I think that's cool and inspiring.
The key is to not apologize. Just go offline and don't apologize.
Don't do it.
All right. Shane H. Wilder says, I would have used Latin in congratulating you, Chrissie, but Mary's not here and Brett can't read.
Hey, he reads a little.
That is true. I really can't read. Let me rephrase it. I can't read out loud. I can read for the most part, as far as I know. I'm not reading things wrong, just saying them wrong. Greg Dubier says, Brett, put a wife or Christy put a husband on. So he wants me to put my wife on or for you to put your husband on.
He's busy with the baby.
There you go. And at one point, I actually sent Olivia a message. I'm like, you might need to like rush out here to do the show because I don't know if Chrissy's going to be able to because we were having tech issues.
All I had to do was restart my computer.
It's I love it when a plan comes together. All right. You by now says The zeitgeist you referenced from Office Space and Fight Club was Gen Xers' quarter-life crisis. Natural slackers, Gen X started to question materialism, but like, whatever, dude.
Yeah, Gen X is another generation that I feel like had it pretty easy. Like, easier than the millennials, at least. Easier than, millennials and Zoomers.
Well, but they also deal with the fact that nobody remembers them.
Yeah, they are quite forgettable.
They're like nobody, like, so
but
a
it's
lot
their
of
own
times.
fault.
I will oftentimes look for stories based on trends with generations. So if you Google Gen Z, it's, you know what all the stories are? They're like, teachers try to use Gen Z lingo. Watch how stupid they look. Every millennial story is like, they're never going to own a home and they're going to go on a jihad.
Yeah.
And there are no Gen X stories. The Gen
What
X
are they doing?
stories-
I guess they're just working, keeping their head down. I think they were like the last generation that could buy a house, no problem. I don't know. These are sweeping generalizations, but like they got to like have a nice long, like they didn't even get to like they got all the way through college without cell phones. Like they got to, can you imagine you get to have all your college years undocumented,
Yep.
no social media, no cell phones.
Well, actually, so I saw this really interesting post the other day that said the peak of American partying would have been like 2008 through 2012 before social media was on your smartphone, because you had you could get apps that had like Google Maps or something like that, so you didn't have to print out directions. But
Yes, you didn't need MapQuest.
So you could, you and your friends could go meet places, and you had a camera, but people didn't really use them that much because they were grainy and fuzzy. So like the peak years to party were like 2008 to 2012.
You're right. You're so
Kinda
right.
true.
I was doing stand up all those years, but
I mean, that was
Yeah.
like the, so I graduated high school in 05. So, those were pretty much those years for me. I got a cell phone right as I got out of high school. My brother sold me my first cell phone because he worked at Radio Shack.
and
And
I got mine sophomore year of college because I had junior year, I think, because I had an internship.
yeah. And I watched the kids in like my senior year of high school text each other the answers to questions on tests because the teachers didn't know what they were doing. I was jealous.
Wow.
All right. Greg Dubier says, what I thought that would be the last one standing. That's what it says. What I thought that would be the last one standing.
What I thought that would be.
Thank you for that.
Okay.
Corey Anderson says, Brett, just get the Spice Girls platform shoes. Look, I can do that. Look, I watched the movie Spice World growing up. I saw that movie. It was good.
Spice up your life.
They saved the world. They were special envoys to aliens when they landed on planet Earth. Does anybody remember that? That was amazing.
No.
They were. High Voltage 75 says, welcome back to PCC, Chrissy. What are your thoughts on Bob Dylan as a musician?
Good. I would say net plus. Net positive.
That's the wrong answer, unfortunately, on this channel. Bob Dylan is a net negative for all aspects of society. And listening, why would you listen to his music when you could just take Ambien or pay Clavicular to knock you out with a face smashing machine? There's no reason to listen to Bob Dylan. Why would I want to listen to somebody warble in an old voice, even when he was younger, just basic poetry without any actual musical tonality? It's awful. And frankly, it's one of the worst things that's ever happened in the United States of America. I mean, 9/11 was bad, but have you listened to a Bob Dylan album?
Oh, wow. You really don't like him. That's
I don't.
cool. I like that.
Well, I'm a Minnesotan, so, people are like, Bob Dylan? I'm like, no. How about not?
How about no, Scott?
Brian Bledsoe says, went to Comic-Con for the first time last year. Normally don't mind big crowds at conferences or conventions, but that one was just too much. Never again. I suppose the converse to that is that it's good that people were out and about doing things. I bet you the amount of mask wearers at Comic-Con is far higher than your average everyday event.
That's interesting. I haven't been to a con since I think 23. I was at in 2023. I was at Anime Matsuri, and there didn't seem to be that many people wearing masks.
I just
So,
imagine that more of them show up there because there is that subset of like, you imagine that he works as like a Discord mod or something like that, and
he was working as a Discord mod in a
exactly.
silver.
Greg Dubier says, Hooters in the Mall of America. I thought it would be the last one standing. Also, I like turtles, and the left lane is for crime.
I like turtles.
I like turtles. I love that. I didn't see that for the first time until very recently, that clip.
Oh wow.
I'd never seen it. I knew the reference because of the image of the meme.
What'd you think? Finally seeing it.
It made me laugh.
Yeah.
I got where it came from. It was awesome.
What about the kid that's like, if you Google like actually kid, he just loves being on the news, and he's got star quality. And
That's
he's like this like
awesome.
tubby little kid.
He's
a great viral.
He's going
clip.
places.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's the thing though. I feel like that type of wholesomeness is gone because nobody watches regular news anymore.
Right.
You need the kids who are willing to get up and say something stupid to a local reporter.
That is something we really lost. Like the whole I'm on TV. What meant something?
Yeah, it's good. It's
Yeah.
good stuff. High Voltage 75 says, Brett, any thoughts on Ben Affleck selling his AI company to Netflix for $600 million? Makes perfect sense. If you listened, look, I didn't watch the whole interview, but if you listen to the clips of Ben Affleck talking about AI with Joe Rogan, that seems to be his approach to the industry, which is that he's got the very rational perspective that you can use AI as a tool and not think of it in the doom and gloom sense that it's going to destroy everything. So the fact that he started a company based around AI tools for screenwriters and AI tools for people in Hollywood, that makes perfect sense. Mm-hmm. I can't imagine, honestly, that Netflix couldn't have done it themselves for cheaper, but I guess they wanted access to like the tools that they were creating, and Netflix look, they just got $2.8 billion by getting out of that deal with Warner Brothers, so they have money to spare right now.
True.
Drewish AF says, can y'all shout out my sons, Saul and Silas? Shout outs.
Cool names.
How you doing, Saul? How you doing, Silas? There you go. All right, we are very close to a second crisis party. I'm expecting that to happen while we do the outros, ladies and gentlemen. Don't make me do the NPR outro, because I will. All right, before we go, ladies and gentlemen, would you all please hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you. Chrissy, you've got something coming up. You should remind everybody the big announcement.
Next Friday, March 20th, I will be performing in Orlando. I will be headlining at a place called the Orlando Comedy Club at the Calypso Bar and Grill. So if you're in town, thank you for showing the graphic, Brett. If you're in town for the, and that's AI me, that's not real me. If you're in town for the Geeks and Gamers Nerdrotic meetup, come out because you guys are not going to have anything to do Friday night. It's a nice late show, 10 o'clock. Get your tickets now on my website, ChrissieMayr.com. Included in the ticket price is access to the after party. So we'll all be hanging and drinking into the wee hours after the comedy show is over. And I'm going to have all sorts of special guests on the show. So it won't just be me. It'll be a hoot.
Somebody asked, is this AI picture? And you said, yes, but I didn't make it.
Yeah, I didn't make it. The booker made it.
Kind of looks like Deborah Messing a little bit there.
I'll take it.
There you go. All right. We have a super chat here from Greg Dubier. Says NPR, NPR, NPR. Mike says Hanes supremacy. No, Mike, as I will remind you each and every day, Fruit of the Loom supremacy. Hanes is garbage. It's made to fit nobody. The only product possibly worse than a Hanes undershirt is a Gildan undershirt, which are literally designed to fit bars of soap. Human beings shaped like bars of soap. Definitely not normal people, but it's okay. You're allowed to have the wrong opinion when you watch PCC. That's all right. Shane H. Wilder says, crisis party, maybe, possibly, could be. Yes, I think we're about there. Pat the Plumber says, great show, chat. Brett and Chrissy, we're good too, I guess. Well, thank you so much for that. That's so kind of you. And one more. High Voltage 75 says, Chrissy, all-time favorite comedian, live or dead?
Yes. Oh, I thought they were saying that I was their all-time
I think they're asking.
Living or dead. Well, shoot.
I'm gonna assume that the question mark was a mistake, and that they were actually saying that you are their favorite comedian, live or dead.
Living or dead. I'm not dead. Oh my gosh. You know what? I'm going to say Joan Rivers, of course, because she's just a legend. But I also really like Ali Wong because I'm a mom too, and so like I enjoy her mom takes for sure. And then like, it's so easy to say like the comedians that are just undeniable. Obviously, like George Carlin. Obviously. Mm-hmm. Oh, I also really like Jim Brewer. He's just a physical comedy genius as well. Well, he's not a stand-up comic, but what the hell is his name? He played Kramer. Like, I don't know. It's because I've watched Seinfeld. I never know that guy.
I don't know his name. Something Richards or Richardson?
Michael Richards. Yeah.
Where was that buried in the depth of my brain?
Such an incredible physical comic. Like, I appreciate that so much.
All right. We got one more here from Red Snow. Says, Fruit of the Loom doesn't even have a cornucopia. Well, look, it's like the people who fell for the Bernstein Bears hoax and thought it said Bernstein. Look, just because we are a generation of people who can't read. So how about that? I talk about my inability to read out loud and everybody makes fun of me. Yet we've got half of the American population that thought it was Berenstein, and I'm the problem.
Was it Berenstain?
Yes, yeah, it is.
Wow.
Give me a break,
No
guys.
one says it.
All right. Guys, again, hit the like button on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. If you guys were here for Chrissie, I would implore you to hang out, stay, come watch again tomorrow live at 3 p.m. Eastern. And if you guys want to follow me, I am on Instagram and on X at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. Remember that we're here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would like to listen rather than just watch the show, you can also rate and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, which is another great way to help the channel out. And if you want to follow us on social media, Twix at popculture_show, Facebook at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. One more from Greg Duvier says, Christie, best female comedian. He called you Christie, not Chrissy, so
I'll take it.
Yeah, it's Christie, best female comedian. Timcast Media had one on all week.
Oh, are they asking me who my? Oh, and also I forgot to say Leonardo Joni. She's a friend. I find her hilarious as well.
There you go. All right, guys, stay tuned for a post-credit crisis party. It will be happening any second. We will be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
That was like legit dancing. Let's go.
Yeah.
Guys, we will be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll see you then. Later.